Hello, everybody. My name is Tammy Moses, and I'm a designer with Chalk Couture, and I am coming to you to show you a vintage painting technique. I absolutely adore pallet signs. I don't know about y'all, but the wooden signs I think are just so great. And this is actually how our pallet signs come. They're beautiful already right out of the box. With this whitewashed finish. Now, they also come in two sizes. This is the larger one and this is the smaller one. Now, last night, I wanted to do something a little bit different besides just going with the white. So, I did this vintage finish that I'm going to show you how to do on the smaller palette. But I just adored how it came out. So, I'm just going to set that one aside. And we are going to be working on this small one. So hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing right down here. Now, what you'll need for this particular project is you'll need sandpaper or a sanding block. I love the blocks. You'll need a couple of rags, okay? And you'll see why. You will need your acrylic paint or chalk paint, whichever one you prefer. And then I'm going to be using this antiquing wax, and this is the one that's in dark stain. Okay, you can see that right up there. You can get it at your local home improvement store, no problem. And you'll need a couple of brushes. The brushes really aren't that important, as you will see. I have one foam brush and one boar bristle. Now, you'll also want to have wide painter's tape, and I'm going to show you a little trick with that in a second. Now, if you're a messy crafter like I am, I always have paper towels and little wipes nearby in case I make a mess, because you just never know, okay? All right, so first thing we're going to do, I'm going to pull off a couple of pieces of painter's tape, and I'm just going to stick this right down onto my not this surface, my table or whatever the case may be. We're going to use this to actually put our acrylic paint on, and then so easy, you just rip it right up and throw it in the trash. It is awesome. Okay, so little trick I do, you might want to try. Okay, so let's go ahead and start first. We're just going to sand some of the corners and sides of this. Now, for a more vintage look, I like for my corners to be a little bit rounded and also to show a little bit more of the wood color underneath. So we're just going to take those corners down a bit. As you can see, I'm not really pushing real hard. It's not anything that you have to do. It's not real precise or anything like that. Remember, we're going to go over it with two different coats of two different things. Then you just want to take one of your rags and wipe off any of the sawdust that's left. The little dust stuff. Okay? I can't see who's joining, but I see we have some people watching. So, welcome you guys. Hope you love this tutorial. Okay, so now we're ready. So, I am actually using a light gray for my paint color. You can do a dark gray. You can even totally do a different color, depending on what it is you want it to look like. So what I'm going to do is just squirt a little bit of that paint onto my tape. Now this, you only need a little bit because a little bit goes a long way, okay? I also did forget to tell you that I do have a little container of water here, okay? And you'll see why in a second. So basically, I'm just dipping my brush into the water, okay? Just a little bit. You don't need it to be soaking wet. And then just kind of squeeze the excess off onto your rag. You just want it a little bit damp, okay? Now, I'm going to dip my brush into my paint, and then I'm going to come up here. Can you guys see that? Come over here and just dip onto the clean tape to get a little bit of it off, okay? And then we're just going to begin to wipe or paint this onto the sign. Now this is going to be totally dependent upon what kind of look you want. If you want more of a white look and you just want to kind of maybe do the edges in the gray, whatever the case may be. But you just kind of continue this process until you get the look that you are looking for. Okay? Because it all really is just personal preference. Now I want you to be able to see a little bit of the gray, but not too much where it kind of overwhelms the small palette. So like I said, we have both size palettes. Now, I don't want this to be perfect. I want it to be imperfect, if you will. I think that's where the nice charm comes from. Now, I will use this surface to use one of our transfers on, and I'll probably do that live on another video. But you just kind of continue to layer it, like I said, until you get the look that you want. Okay? And I like that. Okay, so put that brush down. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that, but can you see the gray through that? Should be able to. Not perfect. We don't want it perfect because another thing is we are going to go back and sand it one last time when everything's dry. Okay. Now, the thing about this acrylic paint is it does dry pretty quick. Chalk paint is going to dry even quicker. So you can use either one. I just happen to have that on hand. Hey, Dee. And decided to use that. Okay. So we will let this sit for a second. While that dries, I am going to open our stain paste, wax, whatever. Now, this comes in light and dark, as you can see. This is, again, it's the dark antiquing wax, which I love the dark. You can kind of control the color of it because this being our sample, as you can see, it's not super dark, but I could go over it even more and make it darker if I wanted to, but I like that look. It gives it kind of that beachy look that I was going for. Now for this, I'm going to be using my boar bristle brush, and I am going to dip it in the water again. And again, just tap it off onto my towel. Okay, now I'm just going to dab this onto the lid, and a little bit goes a long way. So what you're going to want to do is just, I like it to be a little bit darker on the edges. So I'm just going to kind of pull this in a little bit. Now with the antiquing wax, you do have a little bit of time to work with it. Okay, so don't, be afraid that you have to work super, super fast. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a rag and I'm going to wipe some of it off, okay? Can you see that? Okay, can you see that? How it's kind of darker on the outside and lighter as you get in. Now, you can also go back if you get a little too dark and just work it a little bit more with your rag. Okay. Make sure to clean up the sides a little bit. Okay, and I really like that. Can you see it? It gives it more of that distressed look than just going with the stark white. Okay, now we're gonna let that dry. Again, it doesn't take long. I'm gonna close my wax here. I just love, love, love this antiquing wax. It literally has changed the way I'm able to paint stuff. So I'm gonna stick my brushes right here in my water. Now remember this tape? So all I have to do, you guys, is pull it up, throw it in the trash. No rinsing of our paint container, nothing. Makes it so much easier. I think it gives you a little bit more control too when you're dipping in your paint. Okay, now you can also hit this with a blow dryer if you would like to. I'm just gonna go ahead and sand it just a tiny bit just to give you guys an idea of what it's gonna look like. So I'm gonna go back to my sanding block. Hey Cheryl, and again I'm gonna concentrate on the corners, because remember I like for those corners and edges to look worn. Now you don't want to wipe too hard because the wax probably isn't completely dry yet. You don't want to take all that wax off. Okay? And voila. There you go. So this is our small one and this is our larger one. So now I have two that match and I'll be able to do a grouping of some sort of project. I'm most likely going to do a spring theme on these, so I'll figure that out and probably jump on live before I do that project, okay? So if you enjoyed this tutorial and you're not a designer, if you would hit the share button and pass it on to your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. And comment down below what you thought about this tutorial. And let me know if you'll be trying it, okay? You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for popping on, those of you who did. And I hope you just really enjoy your day today and that you learned something from this real quick and easy vintage paint job, okay? Have a great day. Bye for now.